Well, I definitely agree. You know, Flint is the tip of the iceberg here and is getting the national attention that it deserves. And we're seeing this type of crisis in many Flint, Michigans across the United States. And it is time for those responsible and these agencies and our government and those who are in place and voted in place to protect us to be accountable. And when does it switch from negligence to criminal? And I agree with some of those statements. And I was listening to the governor in his State of the State, and he said it's his Katrina. Katrina was nature-made. This is a man-made governors and political decisions that caused this.
In April 2014, Flint switched from Detroit's water supply to save money. Immediately, there were complaints about its taste and smell. In February 2015, the first test showed elevated lead levels. Officials insisted the water was safe. But that June, an EPA official wrote a report warning that the lack of any treatment for lead is of serious concern. Officials discussed those concerns but took no action, while children and others continued drinking the water. In September 2015, independent researchers discovered alarming levels of lead in children's blood. 6 days later, the governor publicly acknowledged the problem. It wasn't until this month, nearly 2 years later, that the governor declared a state of emergency and asked for federal help.
Just moments ago, in his State of the State address, Governor Snyder called for accountability on the matter.
For those whose mistakes contributed to this disaster, we are fully cooperating with investigations and will hold those individuals accountable. And let me be perfectly clear to all of state government. In situations like this, they must come to my desk immediately, no delays, no excuses, period.
And the thing is that the governor knew about this. The governor, his office, his people, his so-called environmental office, all packed with cronies, not real scientists or real environmentalists. They did this to the people of Flint, and I have been calling for Attorney General Lynch to investigate, arrest, prosecute him for a crime that was committed, a crime of both fraud, of covering up, and of polluting the water. You got to understand this. People of Flint were drinking this clean water from Lake Huron. He wanted to save money. He removed the mayor and the city council because the town had gone bankrupt. And
he did this to a bunch of municipalities throughout Michigan using this very controversial emergency manager law.
And you guys here at MSNBC, and especially Rachel.
Yep.
Rachel has covered this so-called emergency manager thing from the beginning. She's covered this story from the beginning. She could literally get elected to anything in Flint right now because people are so grateful because nobody in the national media was covering this in the way that you guys have covered this. So now here we're at this impasse. He sent in the National Guard last Wednesday. We've heard that on the news. But I was there in Flint this week. He sent 7 National Guard, 7. And they were all from Flint. He just activated 7 people from Flint
to hand out water bottles.
7 people who are already poisoned because they've been drinking the water for the last 2 years in Flint to hand out bottles of water to their fellow poisoned citizens. There's been no big movement to do anything about this. They've had a few state police handing out these bottles. This is all PR. The speech tonight he gave was PR.
Well, look, that's not an issue that right now we've been focused on. It's for me to give you a deeply detailed answer on what the right approach should be on it, other than to tell you that, in general, I believe that the federal government role in some of these things are largely limited unless involves a federal jurisdictional issue. So I'd love to give you a better answer on it. It's just not an issue we've been, quite frankly, fully briefed or apprised of in terms of the role the governor's played and the state has played in Michigan on these sorts of issues.